Let us try to solve the exercise number 6 in the part B of C# and .NET Framework Lab. So the part B, the program number 6 is stated as follows. So create a web form for login module which adds username and password to the database. The username in the database should be primary key. Now I'm not sure whether we are supposed to only add the username and password and then try to log in. I'm not sure about it because they have not mentioned here that after adding the username and password whether we are supposed to log in and see whether such a thing exists or not. In any case, I'm going to add the username and password as well as I'm going to show you how to log in using the username and password. To do that, let's go to the Visual Studio, and in the Visual Studio let's go to the file and let's go to the new under the Visual Studio. So I'm going to go and I'm going to go to the file new, and I'm going to go to the project. Okay, so you can directly start the website from here. This is the very shortest way to achieve it. I'm going to go for the long route, and that is the click on the project. And when you come to the project, I assume that this is the C# project. You can also do the same thing in VB.NET in particular, provided you know the syntax of Visual Basic. Okay, so if you know how to type it in Visual Basic, you type it. Otherwise, C# you can use it. So let me go to this Visual C#, and under that I'm going to select this web. In my case, you will get only one, that is ASP.NET Web Application. Some of you get additional options. Suppose if you get the additional option, in that you have to select a blank website. I'm going to get it in the next dialog box. In this case, it's going to come in the next dialog box. Before you proceed, see to it that you have given a proper name to your application, as well as you have stored it in the proper location. So in my case, I'm not going to do it because this is a demonstration. You may have to give a proper name to the project altogether. I'm going to click on OK. Now I will be provided with the option. Now I'm going to get this empty here. In your case, you may get that empty website option directly at the first dialog box itself. I'm getting it in the second dialog box. In any case, I will select this empty, and I am not going to select any of these options, including the host in Azure. It's not required. Just click OK. When you click OK, the Visual Studio is going to create a blank slate and give it to you. Everything that you need to do has to be done manually by you. So there is no template that is provided by the Visual Studio. So once you do that thing, you can check what is there in your project by clicking on the Solution Explorer. Again, if you don't get the Solution Explorer, click on this view and then select the Solution Explorer. That will be the first option that you get under view. So when you have this Solution Explorer, you notice that you don't have anything in this. Not even the web page is not there. It's only blank website that you have it here. Now in this you have to create everything. Now the first thing that we are supposed to do is we are supposed to add a database to our project. You cannot add the database at anywhere and everywhere you please. So you have to add it at a particular location. That's required because of a security reason. So the database has to be there under app_data folder. It's a specific folder that is meant for storing the data of your web application. So I'm going to add that folder to my project. To do that, I'm going to click on this project. See to it that you are clicking on the project and not the solution. So right click on this project, and under this you get the option for add. You will see a option for add. So right click and then go for the add. Under add you get a lot of option. So under add, you have to go for add ASP.NET folder. So under add again, so you go to the, you right click, you go to the add, you go to the ASP.NET, add ASP.NET folder, and then you get ASP underscore, that is app underscore data. So this is the one that you are supposed to go for. So you have to right click here, then select this add, then select the add ASP.NET folder, and you get the app underscore data. This is where you are supposed to add the data. So I'm going to do it now. So I go to the add, I go to the add ASP.NET folder, and I'm going to say app underscore data. So this is the folder that you have just added. So nothing else is there. You have added the folder. Right click on this folder, and then you go for the add. So right click and add. You can add many things over here, and one thing you will notice that you will get a option to add directly the SQL Server database. You can directly add it here, but I will go for the longer option of going to the new item, add new item. Instead of going here and searching, you can directly add the SQL Server database directly from here, but I'm going to do it from this side. So I'm going to go to the add, and I'm going to say new item, and in this new item I'm going to select the data. Remember, you have to select the data option here. You have to select this data, and not the code or anything, data, and you will see the SQL Server database. So it is this is the longest path. You would have done it by a short option, by the selecting directly from there. So I'm going to say SQL Server database. If you want, you change the name of the database. It is not told in the project in the question, so I'm not going to do anything. Then finally I'm going to click on this add button to add the database. So once the database is added, you will notice that you will see a database here in your project. So to you have already studied the database, at least the minimum concept of database in your first year when you were doing the exercise on Microsoft Access. A database contains the table, and you're going to store the values inside the table. So how to add the table to this particular database? To do that thing, just double click on this database. So database 1.mdf, just double click on it. When you double click on it, you will see a Server Explorer being popped up on the other side. So when you go to the Solution Explorer and you have to double click on this one, you will see the Server Explorer, not the Solution Explorer, the Server Explorer. And in the Server Explorer, you are going to see your database. Now suppose for those students who still didn't get how to get to this Server Explorer, if you can't see anything on your window here, then always go to the view, and you will have the option of missing items over here. So click on it and you get it. So don't say that I'm not getting it here. If you don't get it, go to view and search for the Solution Explorer, and you are going to get it, or the Server Explorer, or the whatever it is, you are going to get it. With that said, let's come back to the Server Explorer. And in the Server Explorer, I have my database. Now if you click on this arrow over here, right arrow, it's going to change, and it's going to say that there are no tables are there. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say add new table. So add new table. So click on this add new table. When you click on this add new table, it's going to create a table for you. And before I create a table, there are a few things you must notice. According to the question here, username should be a primary key. So that's what they have said. So when you do the database, it will that the username is the primary key. It's going to take some time for this particular thing to appear, and in my case it is a bit longer because my machine is slower. So now let's add the field here. This is identical to your Microsoft Access, how you added it. So I'm going to add this username like Microsoft Access. Do not use spaces when you type the name here. So username, and the type of it is varchar. So I will select it varchar. Very careful during the examination. One mistake everybody is going to do is by mistake you will select it as var binary. It is not binary, it is varchar. This mistake you are going to do it in the examination, and you will not be able to save anything inside your database if you do that thing. So varchar is the data type. Next one is the password. So I'll say password, and also the type of it is varchar 50. 50 is enough, less than 50 is also enough for us, but I will stick on to the 50. So both are 50, and I don't want it to be null, so I want the values for both of them. Also this indicates it is already a primary key. So how do you make something as a primary key is right click on here and make it as primary key. Suppose if I remove it, the primary key is gone. If I again click and say set primary key, this particular field will become the primary key. At the bottom side you will notice that your SQL statement is being shown here. Okay, now again today if I ask you what is a SQL statement, you may not be able to answer, but as the classes goes on, you will understand what is the meaning of saying SQL statements. Now this is a create statement, it's create SQL statement, wherein you are going to create a table with the name table. I don't want that thing to happen. I'm going to call this table as user table. So I'm going to just make one addition to this and I'm going to call this as user table. That's it. So because I don't want it to be table, if you make it as a table, remember table itself is a reserved word and you will have a lot of trouble in inserting anything to this table called table. Okay, so again, that when I say table called table, that itself is confusing and you will confuse the database more if you give a name of the table itself as table. Okay, so don't give table, give anything apart from table. There are a lot of other names available on earth, you can always use that. Okay, so this is the create statement that you have. Create a user table. Username is varchar, not null, and password is varchar, not null, and you have set it as the primary key. Okay, you can put the constraint or you can directly write it here, one and the same. It's not going to make any much of a difference. Let me click on this update button, which is available here to update it to the database. I'm going to just click on this update and I'm going to click on this option in this dialog box, update database. If you want, you can generate the script and other things. That's not really required. Just click on update database and everything should go fine, and there should not be any error here, and it should update everything to the database. Is it true? So let's go to the Server Explorer here. Let me click on this Server Explorer, and if you notice that there is no table that is created, the reason is you have not refreshed it. To refresh it, right click on it and then say refresh, or you can also refresh it from here. Both of them are same. I'm going to just refresh it, and when I refresh it, right click and say refresh, you will notice that a table is created with the name user table. If you click on this arrow, it's going to say that there are two fields are there. One is the username, which is the primary key. You see that key there, and the other one is the password. Now you can execute a query and you can see the values from here. So to see what are the values which are there in this database, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say show the table data. So this is the option. In this table, I'm going to right click and say show table data. When I do that, it's going to give me the table data, and this is the table data, and it's going to say that no data is available. So that is it. Okay, so there is a table has been created, but you have not added the record into it. Now let's go here, and you have this SQL statement over here. This SQL statement excuse me, this excuse me again. This SQL statement that you have it over here, I'm going to just close it because it's not really required. Okay, I'm just going to close it. Otherwise it is going to irritate me and maybe confuse me altogether. What is it? And definitely it's going to confuse you during your examination. So close what is not really required. Okay, with that said, let's go ahead and let's create our application that is going to add the data into it. To create the application, go to the Solution Explorer. On the right hand side you have the Solution Explorer. Click on it. Again, if it's not visible, go to the View and you have the Solution Explorer and you can get it. So Solution Explorer is there. Now you have the app underscore data. I'm not going to add it over here. Just click on this web application, whatever the name it is. Just click on this web application and excuse me, and right click on it. And so just right click on it. So you have the web application, right click on it, and then go to this add. And under this add, let's go to the new item. Again, you can straight away add the web form. So let me show it over here. So you have right clicked on it and you have selected add, and actually you have an option, direct option is there, web form, or this is the shortcut. This maybe it is a long cut then. So this you click on this new item and then search for this web form. Here you have to make a lot of effort. Click on this web and then you get this web form. So a lot of effort if you are following this route. So click on web and then web form. So you will have to struggle a bit. The easiest option would have been going here and clicking on add and clicking on this web form. It is going to directly ask you what is the name of it. Okay, as simple as that. But again, because you are here, I'm going to just show you. Click on add, click on new items and click on this web, and then click on this web form, and finally if you want, you give a name to this particular web form. So a lot of effort, but still the end result is same as both the cases. Now when you have this web page, don't worry about it. Just go to the right corner over here. Go to this corner. You have three options at this particular corner. You are currently in the source. You have to go to the design. So how do you do it? Is just click on this design, and when you click on this design, you are in the design view. So in the design view, we are supposed to add a few things. The first thing that I'm going to add in this design view is I'm going to go to this particular menu called as table. So I will select this menu called as table. I'm going to go over here and say table, and I'm going to say insert the table. So insert a table, I'm going to do that, and it's going to give me a dialog box. And within this dialog box, I will set the number of rows as 4. The rest of them I am not really interested in. Then I'm going to click on OK. When I click on OK, you get this table. Remember, this is the whole thing is a table. I don't know whether you will be able to see it on your screen on your video or not. This whole thing is a table with 2 columns and 4 rows. In the first row over here, first column, I'm going to type username. So I'm going to say user, user name. This is just a label, username. Next one, I'm going to type it as password. Okay, so that's done, username and password. When you do it, if you notice over here, the first column size will expand like anything. Second column size will diminish. Okay, in that case, what you're supposed to go to this area, there is a separation of the columns here. So if you just click over here, you will notice that there is this arrow. See, there's double arrow. So when you get this double arrow, click here and drag it down. Okay, drag it back. So this column width has been changed. So you notice that the column width has changed. You go here and you see this, you can increase or decrease. Okay, keep it at your comfort. And then let me go over here and let me go to this toolbox again. Now if you don't get the toolbox, please if you don't see something, click on view and search for what you are missing. You are going to get it. Okay, because many students are using, some of them, they don't know how to drag. They will drag this thing itself out. Do not do that thing. Okay, so now coming back to the project now. So just click in front of this user table here. So just this is the user table column. This the second column, first row. Keep the cursor there. Go to the toolbox and then you can search here by typing, or you can search by scrolling. I prefer search by scrolling. I'm going to go here and I'm going to add a text box here. So this is the text box. I'm going to double click on it. Don't drag or anything, just keep the cursor where you want it, just double click on it. It's going to appear here. Once you double click, that's enough, it's going to come. Next time if you double click, 2 will come. So only once you have to do it. Double click and it is there. Similarly, keep the cursor on the second row, second column, go to the toolbox, go to the text box, double click and you get it. Done. Now keep your cursor on the third row, first column, that is below your password. Keep it here, okay, and go to your toolbox and search for the button. Remember, this is in the alphabetical order, so go A, B, C, D, it is going to come. In the B, you are going to get the button. Double click only once. If you click outside, you will notice that one button has come. Keep the cursor on the next column in the same row. Go to the toolbox, double click on the button and you get the next button. Okay, keep the cursor not on the last row, first column, last row, second column. Keep the cursor over here. Go to the toolbox and then search for the label. Again, A, B, C, D up to L you go and you get this label. So okay, double click on this label and you have the label added. So these things are added. I'm going to make some small changes to this. So let me click on this button, and on this button right click and go to the properties. So what did I do is I go to this button, click on this button once and then right click on it and then go to the properties. You get it. So in this property, just by default it's going to show you for the property of the text. Change the text property and say add new user. Going to do that thing, add new user. And the next thing that I'm going to do is click on this button again. Click on this button, right click on it, first click on it and then right click on it. Right click on and go to this property, and then again the text will appear. Remove this button and then say that login. This is the word, login is the word. Okay, login is the word, so you have the login. I'm going to change the property of the password and the label, both of them, but I will do it at the end of this video because I want to show the values. You can change it is now just a password, but you can change the text mode of it to make it appear like a password. I will do it at the end when the entire program is running. I will finally I will make changes to these two. Some changes has to be done. I will do it later. So let me save it. Now what has to be done? When you click on this add new user, you are supposed to go to the database and insert this username, whatever user has typed username, and whatever username has password that is typed, it has to be saved in the database. So how do I do that? So for that you have to write the C# code. To write the C# code, so you have this add new button. So when this button is clicked, some action has to take place. So click on this button once and double click on it. So click on it once, then double click on it. Immediately you will be shown the web form 1 ASPX, and then you have the CS. So this is your CS. When the button 1 is clicked, what is that you are supposed to do? When the button 1 is clicked, you are supposed to go to the database and insert it. First of all, you have to go to the database. So you have the database with you, but the question is, where is the database? What type of database you have there? How do you connect to the database? All these things must be known. In other words, you must know how to connect to this particular database. There must be some specification. For example, if you look at this point over here, your ordinary plug point that you have it for your washing machine, television, or your mobile charger, it will not fit into this because this is a square. Can you see there? This is a square slit which is available in American and European countries. It's not available in India. Okay, in India you get a circular one over here. So you must know how to plug that thing and this specification, in other words, how to connect, how to make that connection. Okay, that particular thing should be there. The same thing is true when you connect to a database. You must know, first of all, you must know where is the database. Okay, that's the one. The next one is what type of database, because there will be different type of database will be available. One given by Maruti Udyog, other one will be there by Honda company, and the third one will be given by Tata. So you must know which company. So in the same way, that is for the cars. For the database, you have Oracle database, MySQL database, SQL Server database, Access database, and so on. You must know which is that database to which you are going to connect. Okay, so that one thing you must know, and there is a way in which you can connect. Every car is different. In the same way, every database is different. So you must know how to connect it. First of all, you must know where is the database. Now, in order to connect this one, a lot of parameter has to be provided, and this parameters that you are giving set of things that is required to connect to a database, that is called as a connection string. So in other words, technically, you must know the connection string in order to connect to any database. So where is this connection string? How can I get the connection string? To get the connection string, let's go to the Visual Studio, and in the Server Explorer, which is there on the left hand side corner, Server Explorer, you have already connected to this database. So because you are connected to the database, there must be somehow Visual Studio knows where is that particular database, and it has created a connection string for you. So you don't need to invent the wheel. Visual Studio has already done that thing. So just ask the Visual Studio, how did you get connected to this database, and tell me what is the connection string. How do I do that thing? I just right click on this. This is my database. I just right click on this database, and I'm going to ask it, show me the properties. Okay, so I'm going to just click on this one. So show me the properties of this connection. So when I click on this properties, what did I do? I right clicked on this database one, and then I say show the properties. When you look at the properties, you notice that first one is the name. I am not interested in the name, but I am interested in the connection string. So this, the one that you see over here, that is what I told you, a very long lengthy thing that you get. A lot of parameters should be there. That is what is the connection string. How do you get this connection string? So there are two commands, shortcut keys that you must know. One is control plus A, select all, and the other one is control plus V plus C, sorry, to copy, and the last one is CTRL plus V. So first one, to select all, this whole connection string has to be selected, and then you have to copy it, and finally you have to paste it once you've done it. So I'm going to do it. So I'm going to click on this data source. Let me zoom in for you. Okay, Control A to copy everything. So I pressed Control A, Control C to copy. I've copied it. Now I'm going to just paste it. It is a string, so I'm going to create a variable of type string. I'm going to go to my C# code over here. So when this button is clicked, when that button is clicked, what is that I'm supposed to do? I will create a string here, and I'm going to say connection string equal to, because it's a string, I'm going to use the double quotes, and I'm going to paste it. Now this lengthier thing is called as a connection string. Now the problem with this is it already has the double quotes inside it, and it also has the backslash inside it. Now you have to take pain of correcting this. Either you put a double backslash here to avoid the escape sequence, and adjust this double quotes problem. It's going to be a terrible thing, and if you try it during the examination, 99% of the time you will fail in getting this connection string intact. Okay, so there is a slightly complicated but guaranteed way of getting a connection string. So I'm not going to use the connection string from here, but I'm going to store this connection string as a parameter value. Okay, in other words, as a property value, and I'm going to use it. How do I do that thing? So instead of putting it here and making a mess out of it, remember you have to put a double slashes here to avoid all the problems. There's a lot of problems that you will face if you use it as a connection string, and some people have a habit of putting at in front of it, and they will think that okay, everything is going to go fine. No, you will have to struggle. So instead of struggling this, take few extra steps but you are guaranteed to get the connection string. So what are these extra steps? So I'm going to remove it and I'm going to get it from here. So what is that thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set that connection string as a property of my web application. So let me go to the Solution Explorer here. This is my web application that I've created, and I'm going to set that connection string as the property of my web application. How do I set it as a property? And you notice that there is a word called as a property here. Okay, so the web application has a option called as properties. So I'm going to double click on this. So inside I'm in the Solution Explorer, and under my web application I have this property. Double click on this properties. When you double click on this property, you are going to get a lot of options for the properties. I want to set something. So I want to set connection string for my project. So I'm going to go over here, and these are all not required. I'm going to go for the setting because I want to set something. I'm going to click on this settings. So when I click on this setting, the Visual Studio will say that there is no settings available for this one because nothing extra setting is not been done, but I want that extra setting. How do I do that? Is just click on this. So you see a option here, click here to create one. So this is what you see here, click here to create that file. So I'm going to just click on this one. When I click on this, I will be shown this option. Okay, so I want a variable. So the variable name, I'm going to call this as connection string, CONSTR, connection string. Let me say connection string. Any variable X, Y, Z, P, Q, anything is possible, but I'm going to use it as connection CONSTR. This, even though it is a connection string, it's not a string as such, but it is something different. Okay, so I'm going to click on the type, and I'm going to click on the down arrow, and I'm going to select it as a connection string. So if you click on this down arrow, a lot of options will be there. One of them will be connection string. Okay, I'm going to click on it and say it's a connection string that I want it. Remember, I went to the Solution Explorer and I went to the properties, and I have copied. It's already done. I have already done that thing. I said Control A and Control C. I have already copied this from the connection string. It's already there on my clipboard. So it's already there. If it is not there, just go here, right click on this database here, go to the properties and go to the connection string here. Control A to select everything, Control C to copy it. So you have already copied it. So that value, what you have copied, that value, just now what you have pasted, just paste it. Control V to paste it. Okay, that's done. Your connection string, whatever that, see, the whole thing is here now. Okay, what's the advantage? Okay, let's see. First of all, I can check whether this connection really exists or not. So I can do that thing. So how do I do that thing is, in order to test this one, you have to first disconnect from the database. So here you go to the Solution Explorer over here. In the Solution Explorer, you are already connected to the database. Now again, it will not allow you to connect. Already you are connected. So if I say that test the connection, it will say that you are already connected. So once you are connected, again connection is not possible. So disconnect and then connect. How do I disconnect it? To disconnect it, right click on it, and it is not a delete. I didn't say that you have to delete it. It's not the delete. You have to say close connection. Very, very careful. Do not click on this delete. If you click on the delete to start the project altogether from the scratch and come up to this point, and this time don't click on this delete. Okay, so right click on it and then say close connection. When you close the connection, you see this X mark over here. How do you re-establish the connection? If you close the connection, to re-establish the connection, right click and then say refresh. That's the only thing. You don't have the option to open the connection. It is called as refresh. You refresh, the connection will be established. It may take some time. The connection will be established. So at any time you can close the connection, not to delete the connection, close the connection, and you can anytime refresh it. Now see to it that you close the connection when you are testing for the connection. So this connection which is there on the Server Explorer has to be closed in order to test whether you will be able to connect to the database or not. So just right click and close the connection. It's already closed. You can't close it one more time. Now once you close this, you come back to the properties here, and in the properties you click on this part, right part, that is a value part. Don't make any changes here. You have 3 ellipses here. So in the properties you have 3 ellipses. Just click on these 3 ellipses. So 3 ellipses, and you will be shown a dialog box. Don't do anything, just click on test connection, and you must get a test connection successful. It's able to ping to the database. That's it. That is what I wanted. Okay, that is just to this is like to make it very sure, 100% sure that you are able to connect to the database. Just click OK, and it's all done. You are connected to the database. You know very well. You have the properties. Now only thing that you can do is remember, whenever you get the star in front of it, you see the star, that means this file is dirty and it is not saved. You made changes to this file and this file is not saved. So I'm in the web application, I want to save this. Just click on this save button over here. Control S is the shortcut. Save it and then close it. If you close it without saving, it will ask you to save. So first save it and then close it. You already have the database connection. So this is what is the connection string. So what is this connection string? I'm going to just paste it. Connection string is just a set of parameters which will tell you how to go to the database and where is the database and how to connect to the database. That's all. But you need to connect to the database. So if you look at this one, you know that you will get the electricity from here, but you have to connect to something in order to draw the electricity out of it. So you need a connection to the database. Now you want to connect to the database. Once you connect to the database, you will switch on this and the power will start flowing. Once you don't want, you switch it off. To switch on is called as open the connection. Switch off is definitely close the connection. So once you have to establish the connection, now you have to plug your application into the database. For that you need to write the code, and let's go to the Visual Studio and start writing the code. How do I get connected to the database? So for that, let's go here. I'm not going to zoom out, it's already zoomed in. So I'm going to say SQL. I need a connection to the database. So I'm going to say SQL connection. I'm going to write it SQL connection. I'm going to call it as CON. I'm going to create a variable. Now when you say SQL connection, the Visual Studio will say that what is that you are talking about? SQL connection means I don't know anything. So I need a connection to my database. So I said it's a SQL Server database. So I said SQL connection and it said I don't know what is SQL connection. So you have to make the Visual Studio understand that there is something. How do you do it? Keep the cursor here on this and you notice a small bulb appearing down. Click on it and Visual Studio will say that do you want me to import this one? Okay, system.data.sql client. Do you want me to use it? Okay. It is there. I know that the thing is there, but it is not here, but you have to use that in your code. So if you have written your C program, in the C program right at the top you used to write, let me zoom out for you. I think it is visible on your screen. You used to write include stdio.h. So here instead of including, you say using. So there is no include, the word is use. So you say use and then you can write that thing. So use. So that is what you're going to do it. So you say using. So that's what I'm going to do that thing. So remember, I'm going to click here and I'm going to click on the down arrow and I'm going to use the first option, and that first option is using system.data.sql client. That is what if you look at here, it has added this line using system.data.sql client, and that contains this namespace contain this particular class, that is a SQL connection. Now what is this SQL connection? I'm going to, this is a class. I'm going to create a variable out of it. So I'm going to say new SQL connection, so SQL connection, and I'm going to use the call the constructor. Now in the constructor, if you look at this constructor, there are a lot of options which are available under this one. Okay, so what is this? Why it is not okay, so let's do it here. SQL connection. Okay, so I'm going to use this one. Okay, now it has given, somehow it forgot to give me this. There are 3 overrides are there. I'm going to go to the second override. Third override also has a lot of things, but I'm happy with the first. Is the default constructor that I don't want. I want to give the connection string. So it is asking me to give me the connection string. Remember, it can connect to the database, but you have to tell it where is the database and how do you connect to the database. All that details has to be told. So it is asking me, give me that connection string. Now where is this connection string? How did you get that connection string? You went to the properties. What did you do? You went to the properties and then you went to the settings, and inside that setting, so you had this settings. Inside this setting you had the default values there, and under this default, oops, where is it gone? Okay, so under this default you have this where is that under this default setting you have this connection string. So you go to the properties, then go to the settings, then go to the default, and you get this connection string. So this is how you have to add it. So let me add that thing. I think I just by accidentally I clicked on something. Okay, so where is which one it has opened? Okay, I think accidentally I opened something, so sorry about that. So I'm going to go about it. So what did you do? You went to the properties. I'm going to show it other way around. Okay, you went to the property. If you find it difficult, you double click on it. So you went to the properties, double clicked on it, then you went to the settings, and then you have the default setting, and under this default setting you have the connection string. That is what you are supposed to write. So let me write it. So you went to the properties. So I'm going to say, I will zoom out. Okay, properties. Okay, you went to the properties, so I select properties, and then you went to the settings. You went to the settings, then you went to the default, and then inside default you have the connection string. So as simple as that. Okay, very lengthier, but you get it. This is guaranteed you are going to get it. Okay, so you went to the properties, then into the settings, then into the default, and then you have the connection string. That's the variable name that you have declared. So you went to the properties, you went to the settings, and in the default you have this variable constr, which was created by you, and that variable will be used for the connection. So you have the connection, you have established the connection. Now you have to see, once you establish the connection and once you switch it on, current will flow. Yes, so the current will flow in this wire, is it not? But in our case we have the connection. I can switch on this connection. How do I switch on this connection? In your case, you switch on this button, this switch here. In my case, to open the connection, I have to say connection dot open. This is to switch it on. Okay, so that is it, switch on. And how do you close it? Connection, remember connection is the variable name. You say this connection, that's a variable name. Connection dot close, to close it. Okay, so it is like switching it on and switching it off. But before you switch it on, you have to ensure that everything is connected. So before you switch it on, you will see to it that your mobile is connected and everything connected, then only you will switch it on. You will not switch on everything, and when the power is coming you don't connect to your gadget. So in the same way, when you have everything ready, then only you will open the connection, and when everything is done you will close the connection. Now when you switch it on, current will flow. Okay, but in this case it is not the bulb that you are connecting. You are connecting to the database. What will flow to the database now? The question is that what will flow to the database? So what is going to flow to the database is all the commands. So you give the commands to the database. Whatever commands you want to give, you give the commands to the database, and these commands will flow. So it is not, the current will not flow. Your commands, whatever commands you are giving, that commands has to go. So you need to create a command. So how do you need to create a command? For that you have SQL commands. So it is not electricity, so it is SQL command. So you see this SQL command, I'll call it as CMD equal to new SQL command. Now it's going to ask you two things. It's going to ask you two things over here. So if I keep it here, please give me the option. Visual Studio is not happy with what I'm doing, so it's not giving me option. Okay, it's going to, there are 4 overrides are there. I'm going to go to the second override. It's going to ask me what is the command that you want to give and which is the connection. So remember, this command does not know. So suppose if you look at this picture over here, there are 2 connections are there. So it is asking whether are you using this connection or this connection, which is the connection. The 2 points are there. Should I connect to this or this? So tell me the connection. Now I know that this is the connection. Where is the connection? I have already created the connection. That connection is CON. I established property, default connection string, and so on. So this is my connection. So I know that connection is there. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. Okay, I know the connection is there, but I don't know what is the command that has to be given. So the first part I don't know. Second part, it is saying which is the connection, which is the command. First part is it is saying that which is the command. Second part it is saying is which is the connection. I know what is the connection, but I don't know what is the command. What to do in that case? So let's go to the database now and then ask the database, how do I issue the commands? So my database is not connected. You see this X mark over here. So I'm going to right click on it and say refresh it. Okay. It will take some time and it will establish the connection to the database. If you don't see anything, click on this blue color is there. So click on this arrow over here. It's going to blow up and it's going to show you all the details. Click on this and it's going to show all the tables over here. If you click on this, it is going to show all the fields over here. But it's enough if I see the table. So I'm going to right click on the table and the command that you are giving to the database, they are called as queries. Why they are called queries? Go and sit into in the Oracle classes or DBMS classes. They will tell you why it is called as query. Okay, for me it is not an issue. They call it as query. If they call it as Pakistan, I would have told create new Pakistan. Okay, so that is it. They called it as query. That is why I am saying that it is a query. I have no objection for that name. So I am going to click on this query, and when I click on this query, this query has to be written. So the way in which you write the query is very different. Syntaxes are there. It is not your C# syntax or C++ or C program or any other syntax. These syntaxes are slightly different. Okay, and you are going to learn those syntaxes in your database classes. But now I'm going to use it. Now my first thing that I'm supposed to do is I'm going to take the username. I'm going to take this username. Where is my Visual Studio? This is the one. I'm going to take this username and I'm going to take this password and I'm going to save this. Whatever username is typed, whatever password is typed, I'm going to save it into the database. So that is what I want to do it. So I have the database with me. I am going to issue a command and I'm going to say that I have this username and I have this password. Hey database, take this one, and I am going to insert it into my database. So I'm going to insert that thing into the database. So I'm going to write the same thing here. Let me go to the SQL command over here. So this is a query. So I'm going to zoom out, please. It is, I think, visible. So I'm going to say insert into, I have to say insert into where. Remember, the database can have many tables, so you have to specify the name of the tables. Insert into user table. I'm not typing it. I'm going to select it and press enter. Okay, and when you say insert into table, in other words, I'm inserting something into this particular table. Now the thing is, it's going to ask me, okay, what is that you are going to insert? What is that you are going to? I'm going to say I will give you the values. Values for what? Values for a username and password. 2 values I am going to give you. So how do I do that thing? Insert into the table name, and I'm going to say I will give you values. So I'm going to give you values. The first one is my name, okay, comma, the second one is my password. I'm going to give the password as 123. Okay, so this is how. See, the syntax is very simple. Insert into that table the values that I'm providing is my name and the password. Two values I'm providing. Let me see. I'm not going to do it in the C#. Let me see whether it can be done directly with the database. So here you see a play like button. Okay, so I'm going to execute this query. When I execute this query, I must get a answer that one row is affected. So what is the meaning of saying one row is affected? It's not infected, it is affected. It's not a virus that it's going to infect. It means to say that something has happened to one row. So what is that one row? What has happened? So let me see. Go to the Server Explorer. You can right click on it and say show the table data value. So if you click on this show data value, you will notice that there is nothing. Okay, there is nothing. Hey, what is then? How did everything has happened? The nothing is there because you have not refreshed it. Just refresh it, and you will notice that my name and the password is saved. So what if I change the values, and I'm going to change these values, and I'm going to say Manisha is the name, and let's say XYZ is her password. Let's say, okay, so insert into user table that values are Manisha and XYZ. I'm going to run this one, and when I run it, I'm going to get one row is affected. That's good. And I'm going to go to this thing over here, that is the view data table, user table data. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to refresh it. And what you notice, Manisha XYZ is added. That means that particular command is working. Database can understand that command, and I'm going to give the same command from my C#. So I'm going to select this command without the semicolon. I'm going to select it. So I'll copy Control C to copy. You know very well. So select it, Control C. Go to your C# code, and I'm going to save it as a string. I can directly paste it here, but if I paste it, it's going to look a bit bad. So I'm going to do like a good student. You can always create a few variables and then do it. So I'm going to say string, say SQL. That's a SQL command. Okay, and inside double quotes, this is the string. You know very well. I just copy it. Okay. Now if you run this command, okay, so this is the command, okay, that without semicolon I copied everything, whatever that was here, okay, so that I got it here. Now I would have copied directly here, but now I'm doing it in a polite way. I store it in a variable called SQL, and I'm going to replace it here. So what is this SQL? SQL is this. So if you see what is this SQL, SQL is this. What is this? This is this command. Okay, long way of doing it, but it gives you a very neat code. Okay, that's it. Now if you run this program 100 times, Manisha XYZ will only be inserted. I don't want 100 Manisha XYZ to be inserted. I want to insert the values which are typed here in this particular text boxes, not the Manisha's name. If Manisha is typed, well and good. Okay, so I want that thing to happen. So for that I must know what is the name of this. If you click on this one, you notice that the name of it is text box 1. You see that text box 1. If you click on the second one, the name of it is text box 2. Other way of knowing this is right click on anything, and then go to the properties. So that's the other way around. Right click on anything and go to the properties. Right at the top, read this thing that is coming in black. That is the name. In other words, that's a variable name that you have to use in your C# code. So what comes in this, right at the top you see it. Suppose if I click on this label and right click and say what is the property of this label, you notice that property of this label, the name of it is label 1. Okay, that's the name. Okay, So if this name is different, then use the different name. Suppose you have two labels, then use the label 1 or 2 depending upon which one. So do not use a name which is not been used up. So always whenever you want to use something, right click on it and then go to the properties. What you see in this bold color, that is the name of that particular object that you have created, and in other words, that's a variable that you have to use in order to utilize the resources of that particular object. So let me come back to this one. There are two. One is there, one is this one is let's see, this is the text box 1, which is the username. You can see over here, I suppose this is text box 1, and the other one, right click and see the properties, text box 2 is the other one. So the one is text box 1, other one is text box 2. These two are the names. So I'm going to use those two there. So what I'm going to do is this could be anything. This could be anything over here. So you know very well, anything means it's a variable. So here we don't call it as variable, we just call it as a parameter. So I'm going to type a parameter. Remember, I've removed everything and I'm typing the parameter, and I'm going to say uname is the first parameter, and I'm going to use the next one at, and I'm going to say password, PASSWD. Okay, by a W was there, PASSWD. Pass anything. You can, instead of this, you can give X, you can give Y, you can give anything, but I've used a username. Two parameters. What is the meaning of it is, these are like a placeholder. Values will be provided later. So what I am saying here is I will give you the username and I will give you the password. Don't use Manisha and her password every time. I will give you new username and new password. So now you are said, since you said that you are going to give, now you are supposed to give. Okay, because you said there are two parameters, add these two parameters. So this is my command. Now command says insert into user table values, one parameter, second parameter. What is the value of those parameters? So you have to give, when you make the connection to the database, you have to give all those values. Otherwise database will say that don't give me half of commands, give me the full thing. So I'm going to go to this is the command. Say, remember SQL command is variable name is CMD. I'm going to go to this command and I'm going to say, let me give some space there, CMD, and I'm going to say I will give you parameters and I'm going to say add with the values. The first parameter name is uname. One mistake that student will always do is, whether you like it or not, some students will give spaces either before it or spaces after this. This is not the same one as which is given over here. There is no space, so remove the spaces from both the sides. It is strictly this word at the username without spaces at the beginning or at the end. What is typed here, including the spelling, must come on the other side. This is the parameter name. You said you are going to add the values. So where is the value? Value is there in this text box. What is the name of this text box? I have already told you, this is called as text box 1. The other one is called as text box 2. So the value is there, username is there in the text box 1. I am not typing, I am selecting it and pressing enter, and whatever text that is typed in that text box, that is the first parameter. I'm not going to type this whole thing. I'm going to use the copy it and say Control C and Control V. So the second parameter, name of this parameter is password. Remember, Control C it and Control V it. So it is much easier. Okay, without spelling mistake, you get it. If you make a spelling mistake between these two, you will end up in much bigger trouble. It says that parameter is not available and so on and so forth. So this password is now available in the text box 2. So I'm going to say it is the text box 2. So your password is added, your everything is added. So now you have your mobile connected. Now you have to insert the charger and then switch it on. So let's switch on. And how do you switch on? So to switch on, you have the connection here. See this connection, CON, you have this connection. You open the connection and execute the command. So you say CMD, and now you have to execute this command. You have to send this command. What is the meaning of saying executing? Send it to the database command dot execute non-query. So why it is non-query, please sit in the Oracle classes or database classes. They will tell you what is query, non-query, and all the other differences. But it is, for me, it is non-query. What is the meaning of saying non-query? Is non-query is something that does the action, but it will not return a data back to me. So here I'm inserting the value. I am putting the values to the database. So I am giving the values to the database now, and I am asking it, okay, insert it. Other way around is I can ask what was the value, give me the value. So then you say you are reading the value. Now you are just executing the query, which is not going to return the data, but it may return the control saying that whether it has executed it or yes or no. Okay, suppose if you execute this and everything is over, then I will have to give the output to the user saying that it got executed. Where am I going to show the output? This label is there. I'm going to show the result in this label. So if you look at this label and if you look at the properties of that label, this is called as label 1. So this is label 1. Then the variable name is label 1. I'm going to set the text for that label 1. So I will go here and I'm going to say label 1 dot text equal to record inserted. Okay, that's enough. Record inserted with this. Okay, so you close the connection. After that, once you insert it, you close the connection. That's it. If your mobile is charged, then you don't keep the connection open. You just close the connection. So that's what I want to do it. Save it and let's give it a try by clicking on this play button. In my case, it's going to take slightly longer time because my machine is slower. It will take a longer time for me to get the output on the screen. So I will go over here and assume that it's going to appear here. So this is what we have done. We are able to establish the connection to the database, and we are able to push something into the database, or we are able to insert a values into the database. Now our next challenge is a slightly different one. Let's try to insert the value and see whether we are able to succeed in inserting the values. Don't worry about this label and other things. At the end, I'm going to take care of it. So I'm going to insert a value called as Ravi. And the password is also Ravi. That is why I wanted it as a plain text, because I just want to show you what value I'm inserting. Then I'm going to click on add new user. Okay. If everything is successful, then it must show that record inserted. So this is successful. Is it really true? Let me go to the Visual Studio and let me go to this user table, and you know very well this particular thing will show me the inserted value. So I'm going to go here to user table and I'm going to just refresh it. And what you notice over here is Ravi is inserted. So that means I'm able to insert a new value to the database. So that's good. I can add something into the database. However, what is bad about it is the question has a very different thing to be done. So in order to stop this execution, always remember, if the program is running, you will not be able to edit anything. To stop it, you just click on this red color button. Somewhere you're going to see that red color button, stop debugging, and it's going to stop it. Okay, so that done. Let's look at the question here. The question says the username is primary key. What is the meaning of saying username is primary key? Is in this table, this name must be unique. You cannot repeat Ravi, you cannot repeat Mani, you cannot repeat Manisha one more time. This is only once. So the name must be unique. So what's the meaning of it? Before I insert something into the database, I must get, so let me try that thing. Let me try to insert Ravi here. I'm going to insert Ravi, but with a different password. Okay, password is XYZ. You do that. So when I click on, you get this one. So no row updated, it said. No row updated. I'm not going to update it. Okay, what is the solution? Okay, data in the 4 row is not committed. SQL provided message violation of primary key. Okay, cannot insert duplicate values, so duplicate key, so you cannot duplicate it. The same thing is going to happen if you run your program. I'm going to just remove this one. Okay, so I will delete this thing, I will delete this thing, and I'm going to go here. Now if you want, I can delete this record itself. Okay, yes, I will delete that record. I deleted it because that it's not allowed. Okay, in my program also, if I try to do the same thing, if I try to insert Ravi one more time, I will get my application will crash, in other words. Okay, I'm going to do here Ravi, and I'm going to click on the password. Anything could be there. So Ravi XYZ is my password. It's not allowed. See, Ravi word cannot be repeated. If I say add user, my application will crash. It will take longer time, and again you get the same problem, and it said there is a problem, and again can you see that violation of the primary key, and you see the primary key violation, same story is going to come. I'm going to stop this. Okay, and if you go here and if you refresh it, it will not add it. Okay, it's not allowed. So before I suppose by accidentally if I insert the same name, I will get a error message. So before I insert something into the database, I have to first check whether that name already exists. If the name already exists, then I am to tell the user that see, the name is already there, you can't duplicate it. So how do I check that thing? So that is the next challenge. Before you insert it, you have to check whether that thing is already there or not. How do I check this thing? One way of checking it is you just count how many times Ravi is appearing. So Ravi is appearing once, that means it's over. Suppose by, I don't know, by magic the Ravi appears 2 times, then you can't insert one more Ravi. Remember, if it's one instance is there, it's over. If it is there once, you can't insert it again. But you have money, you have Manisha. Can I insert a word called as Deepa here? Suppose if I say Deepa, Deepa is alright, but Deepa is not there. Okay, so Deepa is not there, that is why I'm inserting Deepa, and maybe whatever password you have here is a PQR. I'm going to insert, and if I go to the next one, it's happy. It is not saying that I can't insert, I can do, it is not saying anything. It is okay, Deepa is okay because it's not there. Okay, so before I insert, I have to check whether that name is already there. If it's there, you have to politely tell the user that the name is there, you can't insert it, put some other name. Okay, how do I do that thing? I count how many times Deepa appears. If the Deepa appears once, it is over, you can't insert it. Suppose if I want to insert Rupa, then I have to say whether Rupa appears. Okay, so I have to count and say whether Rupa appears there. Rupa is not there, so count is 0. If I search for the Rupa, how many times Rupa appears? 0 times. So if the Rupa appears 0 times, you can add it. How many times Deepa appears? Once. If Deepa appears once, then I can't add it. So if it is 1 or more, I can't add it. If it is 0, I can add it. So how do I do that thing? I have to write the query. So I have to select some value. So this time, the last time, what did I do? I went to the database. See, you see how the error messages come here. So very bad thing. The Microsoft, the ASP.NET is saying a lot of things have I cannot insert and so on. I terminated and so on and so forth. So a lot of problem is there. So this is not required for us. Let's go and let's look at this one. So here now I want some values back. So I have to select something from the database. So my command will be select. I'm going to delete this, and my command now is select. I'll say select what I want to count. Select the count. How many times? Count star I'm going to put. Count star from where? From my table. What is the name of the table? My table was a username. What is the condition? Do you want everything? Select count means everything. No, I want to check where the username. So where is this username? This username equal to, let's say, money. So what is that I'm doing is it may look a very different thing, but what is that I'm saying here is count how many times money appears in this table. So that is the thing, how many times money is appearing in this table. So that is what I have written here. So how many times, so username, see this username, so this is the username money value, how many times money appears in this user table. Okay, count it. So that is what I have said. So let me select it and let me run this one. It's going to give me money appears once, and that's true. Money appears once, that's true. So what if I say, okay, how many times Manisha appears? Manish appears. So first of all, let's look at it. Do you have Manisha is there? But Manish is not there. So I am searching for Manish. So Manish excuse me, is not there. Okay, so I'm going to run this query. Excuse me. And what I notice here is this Manish appears 0 times. So so I have to see that. Just a minute. I'll pause the video for a minute because I have trouble with my. So I want to check whether Manish appears or not. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to run it. And Manish, it says appears 0 times because Manish is not there in that table. So that's simple as that. So if it is not there, I can insert it. If it is 0, I can insert it. But if it is there, for example, Manisha is there, so I run it, I cannot insert because Manisha is already there. Okay, so this is the idea that I have it. So I have to run one more query to find out how many times the given name appears. If it appears 0 times, then I can insert it. If it is not, I cannot insert it. Let me go and let me write that thing over here. So I need one more command to check whether that thing appears or not. So I'm going to say SQL command. This is a different command from the previous one. Remember, previous command is different. Now I'm issuing one more command to the database. I'm telling the database that give me something. This is a different command. Okay, so last time I said insert something. Now I'm saying give me something. So command, and I'm going to call it as cmd check. I want to check this command is equal to new SQL command. Okay, SQL command, and I will write the query, and my connection is same. Okay, this connection remains same, so there is no the same connection I can issue it. So the connection that I created here, same connection I can use it. So there is nothing wrong in it. So what is the query that I have to write? The query is here. Okay, I'm going to copy this one. Full thing. This is the query that I'm supposed to run it. Again, if you find that word very fascinating, please go to the database classes. They will tell you more about it. So I will create a string variable called as str or SQL check chk equal to, this is a string. Remember, I'm just creating a string. That's it. Okay, now every time I don't want to search for Manisha, I will search for different names. So I'll create a parameter here at, see how do you create a parameter, at followed by any variable name, x, y, z, p, q, anything. I'm going to say at check name. Okay, chk, let me make it as check name. So I'm going to give a name that need to be checked, and the database is going to tell me whether it is there or not. So this is my string. Okay, I've stored it in this variable SQL chk. I'm going to use that in my command here. So this string, this one, whatever, so this is stored here, and I'm using it in my command here. So I got that one. Now I have to open the connection. Remember, whether I like it or not, without opening connection I can't do anything. So I will open the connection has to be open. Remember, if you don't switch it on, there is nothing. You can't get power, and you can't charge, you can do anything. Without switching on, nothing can be done. So I have to switch it on, and then I have to execute this command. So when I execute the command, look at this one. This time there is something else is happening. When I execute the command, I am going to be given some values. So in other words, I am going to get some values. So what the database is going to do is, whenever this time you are going to get one values, you know very well database contain lot of data. So whenever you are asking from the database, you may get tons of values. You may get tons of values. You have to store them in your program. So database will say, okay, all these values are, at this time it is only one value, 0 or 1. In future you may get tons of values. In that case you have to store it. Where am I going to store it? Okay, so that is that you have to store it and then start reading it inside your program. So how do I do that thing? For that, let's go over here to my program. I need a SQL data reader. So I'm going to say SQL data reader. Okay, SQL data reader. So this is the one. Remember, what the database is going to do is, when you ask for data, it's going to give you tons of data, and you must read it. Somebody has to read this data, no? So there must be somebody who is going to read all the data that is given by the database, and who is going to read that thing. For that we have one class called as SQL data reader. I'm going to call it as RDR reader. Maybe you can call it any name. Okay, how do I get this reader? Is I'll go to this command scmd check. This is the command I wanted to check whether this username exists. So I'm going to say execute reader. Okay, execute reader. What is the meaning of saying this one is, I am saying that see to the database is this is the command. The command is check whether the Manisha is there on the database or not. Whatever command you are doing it, that command is going to execute that command. That command is going to give you a lot of data. In my case, only one data, and I have this data reader over here. Give me to that data reader. Okay, that's what you are doing it there. So you are saying that execute that command, execute the reader, read all the data. In other words, you go to the database and say read all those values. This command, whatever I have given you, read it, get the values, okay, read the data and give it to me. So execute that, and I'm going to store it in the data reader. Now it is there in the data reader. So what you did, if this command is executed, database will say that okay, I will read and I will give you all the things. So whatever you want, you do it, don't bother me. So these are all the data that I have it. Okay, now you have to tell this is the data reader. Remember, data reader has all the values. Now you have to tell the data reader, read it now. Data reader will not read it. It will say, okay, I got all the values. Then do what? So data reader will ask that thing. Okay, I got all the data from the database. Now what am I supposed to do it? So I will go to this data reader, RDR. This is your data reader, SQL data reader. And I'm going to say that read the value. Okay. Now because there is only one value is there, I will call this rdr.read only once. If you have 10 values, when you get the data from your database, if you get 10 values over here, for at a time it will read only one value. So it will read only one value and give. Second time again you have to tell, okay, go and read it. Third time again it's go and read it. So every time you have to go ask it to go on, keep on reading it until there are no more data is there. Now in my case there is only once one value is written. You see that either 0 or 1, it's going to return only one value. Okay, now it's going to read that value. Where is that value now? Remember, it is going to read it like an array. So in your C program you have studied this array, like this structure, array. Okay, so this structure is their array structure, and the first value is called as array of 0. Second one is called as array of 1. Remember that thing. Similarly, this is a reader. A reader is an array. So you say rdr of 0, you're going to get the first value. Remember, in my case there is only one value is there. First value, either it is 0 or 1. Remember, it's only 1. You may get other values. Okay, so here you may get the other values. Okay, so only one, if 0 is only there, 1 will be there, 2 will be there. Now in this depends upon the situation. Remember how which query you have executed. This query will execute will give you only one value. If this query gives more than one value, you can read the others. Now there is only one value, so I'm going to read this one. Now whatever it is reading, I will convert it as a string by saying toString. The value that it is returning, I will convert it as a string. Okay, but I want it as an integer. I know that this is an integer. 0, 1 are integers, so I'm going to say I will store it in a variable int, and I will call it as count. I'm going to store it as a count. Remember, I have converted it into string, so I have to pass it as an integer. So I'm going to say int dot parse to convert it into this string is converted into integer. It's a long process, but you have to do it. First you convert it into string, and then you convert it into integer and store it in the counter here. Now you got the counter. So what is the value that is stored in the counter? After all this trouble, what is the value stored in the counter? Either it will be 1 or it will be 0. So what value is stored in the counter is either 0 or 1. Suppose if it is 0, well and good. If it is not 0, then you have to give a message. So I'm going to write a if. So if count, count, if the count is equal to 0, then that means that record is not there. Count means 0 means what? What is the meaning of saying 0? So if I say here, okay, what name I can give? If I say here as what is it? Gopal. If I give a name Gopal, Gopal is not there. You see there, Gopal is not there in the database. Suppose if I run this Gopal, now if I run this Gopal, I get 0. That means I can insert Gopal. It is not there. Something which is not there, I can insert. Suppose if I say this has Ravi, suppose I am searching for Ravi. Ravi is there. So what is the count? Count will be Ravi is there one time. You see there, Ravi is there once. I can't insert Ravi one more time because it's already there. If it is already there, you can't insert. Duplicate values are not allowed. So that's the meaning of it. Okay, if it's already there, can't insert. If it's not there, good. So if it is not there means it is 0. If it is there means it's going to be 1. So if it is 0, that means you can insert it. So this is what you were doing last time. I'm going to just copy that. You can insert it. How do you insert it? Last time I inserted it. Execute non-query, label is inserted. Else I'm going to give a label. I'm going to copy this, Control C and Control V, and I'm going to say, okay, record already exists. Record already exists. Okay, that's it. Okay, finally remember you have to close the connection. Don't forget that thing. You have to close the connection what you have opened. Okay, that's it. Let's give it a try, and I'm going to run this one. I run this, and guess what you're going to see now is let's run it, and let's see what is the answer. You're going to get it now. It'll take some time. In my machine may take slightly longer time, but let's try to insert something. Okay, I'm going to insert Ravi. You know very well Ravi is already not Pavi. I will insert Ravi. Okay, why? I am going to insert money. The password does not matter. Remember, I am just searching for the name money. The password need not be exit. I'm not searching for the password. See, I'm only searching for name. That's all. Username, not the password. So even if I write a wrong password here, even if I write the password as ZZZ, it's not going to insert it because money itself, that word money is there. So this word money is already there. So it cannot insert it. Regardless of the password, it cannot insert it because it's already there. So let me try to insert money, and I'm going to say add. And what is that I'm going to get is I'm going to get the error. Oh, did I execute? Okay, that is a system.sql exception occurred. What is the exception? Must declare. Oh, sorry, yeah, so one mistake. when I was talking, I made one terrible mistake. The error that you got is that what is saying that you said the check name is there. No, this is a parameter. You said that parameter. Where is the value for that parameter? It's asking that question. Okay, so here, if you look at here, it is saying that that parameter. If you say here somewhere, you will see that. See this check name. It's giving it. You said that there is a parameter check name. What is the value of that? So it is asking me. The database is asking me that value. You said you will give. No, you give the value, then I will execute. So I'm supposed to give the value there. So I'm going to say cmd chk that, okay, parameter add with the value and this parameter. How I did it last time. See here how I did it. That thing I just forgot. Okay, so Control C. I'm going to just paste it here. Control V, and I'll put a comma. And where is this name? By the way, where is this name? The name will be there in the text box one, that first text box. So I'm going to go here. Where is the web form? Okay, I'm going to go here, web form. Okay, the name is there in the text box, one dot text. Okay, this time you won't get the error. Sorry about that. So this, I just forgot that. Okay, so let's run it. Let's see whether everything is proper. Now it's going to take a slightly longer time. In any case, let's see whether you get it or not. Okay, I'm going to execute this, and if everything is proper, and see whether we will be able to see the output. Okay, so it is executing now. I'm going to check for my name itself. So unlike the last time what I've done, so I'm going to go and check whether my name is there. The password does not matter, okay, because I'm checking only for the name. The name is there, forget about the password, it will not be able to insert anything. So I'm going to click and say record already exists. You see, I get this. Why? Because the count is greater than 1. Count is greater than 0. If the count is 0, it would have inserted it. This time the count is 1 because it's already there. It's going to say name already exists. Now suppose if I insert what is the name I can give. Okay, I'm going to insert the name as Rita, and the password is also say Rita. Okay, done. Add, and it must say, it is still doing it. Okay, it must say that record inserted. I don't know why it is a bit slow. It must say that after a long time. I think if it is taking so much of time, then it is an error. Okay, it is an error. System exception occur. What is that exception occur? Already open. Oh, sorry. I close the connection? I think I. Oh, yeah. One thing. So sorry about it again. I'm doing it a bit faster, so I forget a few things. Some things you must understand is when you open this reader. Okay, once the reading is over, you are supposed to close that reader. Okay, so this rdr dot, it is better you close this reader. The reason for it is see what is happening here is I just forgot that. Okay, so this is a problem with the reader. Okay, so what is happening is you see that thing. Okay, you go to the database and you say give me the data. It's going to give you tons of data. Okay, the reader is populated with the data. Now if you don't close it, when you close it, you know very well it's going to close this thing, delete all these things. If you don't close it, it is there in the memory because you have got the data. It will keep it in the memory, and next time when you try to put some new data, it's going to say that I have some data. Remember, data is very, very important. If you put two different type of data, they will be you will get garbage. They will be okay. So when you try to put the data, it is better you clear the previous thing there. So that is why when I try to insert the new data before closing it, it's going to say that so they see it is already open, the reader is already open, right? Reader already has the data. Now you are, before removing the data, I clear everything, make the reader empty, then put a new data. Don't put the new data on top of the existing data. Now one question you will ask is, see sir, you this connection part I got it. So you got the connection and you open the connection and finally you are closing the connection. In the same way I am supposed to close the connection, but the question is who has opened the connection. So here you said connection dot open, you have written, connection dot close you are writing, but the just a minute again. Okay, now bring it back. Okay, now connection is closed. Now the question is this RDR is getting closed, but who has opened it? The connection is opened when you execute this reader. Okay, this is not the connection, sorry. The data reader is opened when you execute this execute reader. The data reader will be opened for you. Okay, so you don't exclusively say data reader dot open. How you say connection dot open, connection dot close, that part you are doing it. But with the data reader, when you call this execute reader, data reader will be open for you, and the only thing is you must remember to close that once you have used it. Okay, so let's run it. I'm doing it a bit quickly because this video is taking slightly longer time than I expected it, and I have to upload it onto the YouTube, so it's going to take a lot of data. Okay, so that's it. So let me see whether I can get this much on it. So I'm going to insert something onto the database. So let's start with money, and I'm going to insert and it must say that already exists. So this time I'm going to say Satish, and the password is ABC, and I'm going to say add user. It must add it. Okay, record inserted, and now if I again add the Satish with the other password XYZ, and I say it must say that record already exists. Okay, so that's done. Now the only thing is you have to click on this login. So what is that you are supposed to do when somebody clicks on this login? Sorry, this is not the one. I'm going to just stop this program. Let me go to the login part over here, and in this login button, when I click on this login button, what is that I'm supposed to do it? So I'm going to go here and double click on this login button. Just click on login button. So that's my button 2. So when my button 2 is clicked, what is that I'm supposed to do? The procedure remains same. There is nothing much here. You are comparing only for the username. I have to also compare the password. If the username is there and for the same username is there, for the same user the password is also proper, then you say count is 1, otherwise count is 0. So let's say username is Ravi, and you studied this and or not in your C program, and the password is also Ravi, then the count is 1. So this time you are checking whether the username is there as well as the passwords for the same user, not for the other. For the same user, what is the password? Both are checked. So username is also Ravi, password is also Ravi. Let's run it and let's see what is the answer. You get 1. Okay, so username is Ravi and password is ABC. Suppose if you say, okay, user is there, see Ravi is there, but his password is not ABC, his password is Ravi. So if I run this query, I get the answer as 0 because the password is mismatching. Suppose the password is proper, I have Ravi, password is proper, but I'll remove the spelling and I'm going to say Rav. Okay, RAV is not there. See, RAV is not there, but the password Ravi is there. So what is going to happen? Again, the count is 0 because it is not matching. You are matching both of them. If a username and password both of them matches, then it is user has logged in. Otherwise, you say user is not logged in. So simple as that. If username and password is proper, you allow them to log in, otherwise you don't allow them to log in. So how much effort should I put it over here? Remember, to do all this stuff you need a connection, you need a command, you need all these things. So I'm going to rob something from my previous code. So you need a connection, you need a connection string, you need a command, you need to supply the parameter. All of them are there. So I'm going to copy up to here. So this is I'm copying it from my previous button clicker. So I have to have the connection. Only thing is, this is not the query. What is the query? So the query is, it's already here. Query is this one. This is the query. I'm going to get this query quickly from here. Control C, and I'm going to paste it here. This is my query. Okay, and this is username is not Ravi. Username is, I'm going to just put it here. Parameter. So this is the parameter. Username is not Ravi. Username is one parameter that I'm going to give it later. See, I'm giving it here. Okay. And password is also one parameter that I'm going to give it here. So that is password is also parameter. Remember, I'm removing even the this one, and I just keep the double quotes there. Username I will give it later. Okay, password I will give it later. So that is what you said. You have the thing with you. Okay, username is there, password is there. Okay, you got that thing. Now what you need is you need a data reader to read that value and check whether the count is equal to 0 or 1. See, what is the answer you are getting? Either the count is 0 or count is 1, like the previous case. So I am going to rob a few other things from the previous one. So I'm going to go and I'm going to say I need a data reader. So I need a data reader, and I'm going to execute the command. So I'm going to rob something from here, and I'm going to just paste it here. I need a data reader, and my command is not a cm check. This is the command name. It is not chk. Remember, the name that I'm using is cmd here, cmd.execute reader, and you read it. Okay, that part is there proper. Okay, this part is already there. And then where is the other part? I'm going to rob few other things from there. Okay, rdr closer, I'm going to get read it, and I'm going to get the count. This part is also there. I'm going to read it, I'm going to get the count, and I'm going to close this. That's it. Now only thing you are going to do is, if count is equal to 0, so that means either username is wrong or password is wrong, then you are going to say label one dot text equal to not logged in, or username and password is wrong, or anything you can say, not logged in. I'm going to say just that thing. Else you just say label one dot text, label one dot text, and I'm going to say successfully logged in, successfully logged in. Okay, that's it. And as usual, you need to close the connection. Again, I'm going to rob this one from the previous code, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, this is the closed connection. The connection which was opened, the connection is closed. You open the connection, you execute the query, and you execute the reader and get the count. If the count is 0, you are logged in. If the count is not 0, you are not logged in. Okay, so let's give it a try. Before that, I'm going to just refresh it and see how many records I have it here. So I have a lot of records over here. Let me run it now. No, oh, sorry, I'm supposed to run the, okay, the program may run it. Let's see. So when I think sometime if you open whatever is there, that it's going to execute that one. So that problem is there. Okay, so it is running now. Let me do this one, and let's check whether I can put some values there. Okay, so first one, Deepa is there. I'm going to try to log in using the Deepa. Where is this? Okay, it's taking longer time. Slightly, it's taking more than what I expected it. I think then there is error. Okay, let's see. Okay, so you have Deepa, and what is her password? You see here, password is PQR. So I'm going to type PQR, and if I click on login, it must say that successfully logged in. If I change her password as XYZ, the Deepa is there, but her password is not XYZ. I click on it and you say not logged in. Suppose Deepa itself is not there, Deepa's is there, but her password is PQR. So password is proper, but the name is not proper. Logged in, it is again not successfully logged in. So everything is proper. Only thing is you are not supposed to show the password and you are not supposed to show this label. When you run it for the first time, you see that as a label. So I will told you I'm going to fix this problem later. So I'll fix this problem. I'm going to go to this web form here. In the web design, not this code there, web design. I'm going to click on this web design and I'm going to click on this second label. If it is disturbing you, click outside and then click here. Okay, right click on it and go to these properties, and in the properties, so you have the properties here. In the properties, search for text mode. So you have to search for text mode. You see there, text mode of the text box 2, that is this text box, second text box. So I have this text mode. It is single line is there, down double they click on the down arrow and make it as password. Okay, that's done. This is for the text box over here. Click on this label. Now again it is disturbing you, click outside and then click on that label. So click on this label and then right click and say properties. Now this label is shown here. See, the text of it is label. So this text for this label 1 text is shown. Remove this text. I don't want any text there. That's it. I don't want any text to appear there. So that's it. Give it a last run and everything should go fine. So if you look at this one, let me see the username here. I'm going to log in with the different name now. So I'm going to log in. Now if you look at here, the first time when it comes, everything is proper without much of a thing. So let's look at this. It's going to take slightly longer time. Okay, username, I'm going to type my name itself, Money, and the password, you notice that 123 is the password. You see there, nothing, it is blank, completely blank. 123, I say okay, login, and I must get login successfully. If I say PQR is my password, which is not there, okay, I have to say okay, not logged in. Okay, that's all in this. Thank you for your interest. We will meet again in the next class. Thank you.